I think God and Moses both just have enormous respect for each other.
Come live with me.
White Gladiator has that big striped spear at the neck.
During dessert. Look, the judges are nodding. Even the Egyptian judge is impressed.
Until recently, you claimed that the Earth revolved around the sun.
Welcome to History Bites. I'm Rick Green. It's easy to think of the Renaissance as an age of discovery, but it was really an age of rediscovery. Europeans rediscovered all the things that the ancient Greeks and Romans had already learned and created and invented. Now, Greek philosophy and Roman architecture might have been worth learning, but their science and medicine, they were shaky at best. Now, along with all this, the Julian calendar that people had been using for the last 1,500 years just wasn't doing the job anymore. In fact, by 1582, it was off by close to 10 days. So, Pope Gregory XIII ordered a new calendar, and to correct for the accumulated shortcomings of Julius Caesar's old one, he canceled 10 days. October 5th to 14th, gone. It seemed like a simple, elegant solution. It wasn't. The resulting chaos was sort of like what they predicted would happen at Y2K but didn't. Ordinary folks were outraged and confused. And where do ordinary people get to vent their confusion and outrage? On television.
Welcome to the news for December the 5th, 1582, or as it has come to be known by many, December the 15th, 1582. The church calls it progress, but many call it dangerous heresy. What was supposed to lead to clarity has created confusion amongst Christians. To find out a little more about how such a situation could have developed, our own Marjorie Maines spoke to the man behind the calendar chaos about what everyone is calling the 10 lost days.
To the faithful, he is Pope Gregory. To some, he is also the Antichrist. Heeding the advice of astronomers, astrologers, and others who dabble in the black arts, he decreed that the calendar skip 10 days. Now he's dealing with calendar chaos. Pope Gregory, why are we in this predicament?
Well, Marjorie, we all have little problems. Nagging problems that we know we should deal with, but just keep putting off. Now, as you know, if we let these things go on for too long...
How long is too long?
Anything over, say, 1,500 years.
This has been going on for that long?
Ever since Caesar authorized the Julian calendar back in the year, well, 0, I guess, we've been gaining an extra 10 minutes a year. We've been living on borrowed time, Marjorie, and it's time to pay back the time we owe.
It's Tuesday, and you know what that means here at the Howard Sternberg Radio Show.
No, Howard.
Harlots, harlots, and more harlots.
No, Howard, it's not Harlot Tuesday. The Gregorian calendar change, it's now Friday.
Friday?
Yeah, it's Friday.
Great. Not Gary the leper again.
That's right.
Hey, Gary, haven't seen much of you around lately.
It's said that the Julian calendar was chosen by God and cannot be altered by popes or kings or anyone else. Or at least, that's what some church officials have said.
Right. Protestant church officials, their point of view reflects the obstinate, unenlightened mindset of a religious sect that simply doesn't want to listen.
Actually, I meant the Catholic church officials who, for 400 years, have refused to change
No, it's the Protestants.
calendar.
They won't listen to reason or logic.
I meant the Catholic.
I'm glad those Protestants have split off.
Just fine dogs there, weren't they? Very, very nice. That bear didn't stand a chance. Speaking of watching the fur fly, tonight, as you know, we're going to have on our stage the British singing sensations, Billy Ray Cyrus and the Hangmen, with their hit, Achy Breaky Neck. What's that? Oh, but they were unable to be here tonight because of a scheduling confusion over the calendar change. I know.
Robert, how did Selim, the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, die?
Battling the Holy Roman Empire.
A fall in a Turkish bath. Jerome, who said abortion is not murder if it occurs in the first 40 days?
Pope Gregory?
Correct. Teresa, how did Christians celebrate St. Bartholomew's Day in Paris in 72?
Massacring Protestants?
Correct. Robert, which Christians have rejected the new Gregorian calendar and condemned advances of science?
Catholics.
Protestants. What pungent odor?
We have something never before seen on any stage, right here for the first time anywhere ever, ballet. So without much further ado, here's Balls d'Acerino de Belligioiosa. Am I pronouncing that right? Ball d'Acerina de Belligioso. Anyway, here's a man who invented ballet with ballet.
Can you describe the process of designing the new calendar?
Well, the backroom boys haggled back and forth for quite a while until somebody said, how about 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes, and 46 seconds? And I thought to myself, yes, that sounds about right.
Then what happened?
Well, my right-hand man, Antonio Lilius, juggled some numbers. Leap year every 4 years, except for every 100 years, except for every 400 years, except for centuries when the Cubs win the pennant. And we still add an extra day every 3,300 years or so, but, well, that won't be my headache.
Protestants across Europe didn't like the idea of any pope telling them what to do, but they had other reasons for disliking this pope. A zealous anti-Protestant, Gregory gained infamy after the slaughter of thousands of Huguenot Protestants in Paris. He responded by ordering a hymn of praise to God. So you can understand if Pope Gregory was not at the top of most Protestants' Christmas list.
More so than Frankfurt, Germany, where angry mobs have begun to riot and protest against mathematicians and the Pope. We go now live to correspondent Wolf Mann in Frankfurt.
Tom, a lot of people had their lederhosen in a knot over this one.
It's pretty obvious. Pope Gregory and his compass-carrying goons have made a deal with Satan.
I'm tired of being bossed around by this bureaucracy in the Vatican.
Now, clearly, some of this is simply a backlash by Protestant Frankfurt against Catholic Rome. But as I found out from local hotheads, that's not 100% of the Frankfurters' beef.
We have a very rigid schedule when it comes to worshiping saints, right? I mean, each saint has his own day, right? So, I mean, what if we agree to change the calendar? I mean, what if I'm praying for forgiveness for my sins to say St. Peter, okay? But it's on St. Christopher's Day. And then he checks his messages and he hears St. Peter. Oh, must be a wrong number, right? And then I show up at the pearly gates and Peter goes, oh, sorry, ma'am, we don't have any record of any forgiveness of any sort, so I'm on a one-way ticket to Beelzebub's basement.
I'm going to my window and I'm sticking my head out and I'm screaming, I'm mad as hell! And I'm not going to take it anymore! And then I see everyone doing the same thing, and I'm like, hey, great, a riot! And so I go grab my favorite stick, and here I am!
Now, Marion, if I ask to borrow some gold coins, just for a few minutes, just to put in this bag, would you say yes?
Just to put in the bag?
You won't even know they're gone.
Don't do it. Well... Okay.
Okay, just put them in the coin sweater here. They're all in there now. And now we have to make these coins sweat. And how do we do that? By giving them some exercise.
Hey, that looks like fun.
It is.
Of hell, Gregory! They're sending a message. Pope Gregory of Rome, don't change our calendars. Otherwise, we might take out our anger on public and private property here in Frankfurt.
First it's 10 days. Next time a month. And pretty soon they're going to want a year or two. Then one day we get a letter from the Pope that says, sorry, folks, I need the rest of your lives. And I need it next Thursday. The Pope can get a life, but not mine.
Well, I'll be the first to admit I don't know the first thing about mathematics. Where I come from, we have names for things we don't understand. Names like witchcraft and heresy. So obviously I had to stand up for my ignorance. Plus, I love a good riot.
You're next! You're next!
When we come back, I love a parade, especially when it's people covered in wieners. Back in 1582, when Pope Gregory instituted the calendar change, 10 days were lost from the calendar. But nobody had much warning, so some countries lost 10 days in October, but some weren't ready till November, December, or the new year, which created more confusion. Plus, the Gregorian calendar moved forward the dates of religious holidays and traditional celebrations, like the Festival of Carnival. Now, Renaissance carnivals weren't about rides and freak shows. Back then, they were about carne, as in chili con carne, meat.
Well, we're back at the Carnival Parade, and you couldn't have asked for a nicer December day here in Venice, Vince.
You sure couldn't, Vanessa. That's right, Venice's annual Festival of Carnival, which will only build in intensity as we approach Lent, is being kicked off in style, as we can see here, with all the costume participants coming out to strut their stuff. Why do so many of the participants wear face masks with long noses, Vanessa?
Well, as you know, Vince, the word carnival comes from carne, or meat. So this festival of the flesh is represented by the three traditional meaty themes of food, sex, and violence.
What do long noses have to do with... Oh, really?
Uh-oh.
And here they come, the unmarried spinsters of Florence, tugging a plow through the city.
Oh, now these girls desperately want to find husbands, and this is traditionally the way to get that message out.
You know, there's nothing really quite as pretty as a woman grunting and sweating like an ox. Unless you have an ox dressed up as a woman.
With many of the largely Protestant cities and kingdoms vowing to ignore the calendar change, do you foresee problems?
Yes, some towns making the change are adjacent to ones that are not. There might be issues with, well, missing dentist appointments or going to church on the wrong day, but hey, the Protestants are already in enough trouble with the big guy.
Gunther, which Danish astronomer lost his nose in a duel and replaced it with an artificial gold one?
Goldnocchio.
Tycho Brahe. Time is up. And out of a possible 250,000 guildener, you have netted a pathetic 8,000. Whose millstone will no longer grind grain? Which soul will face the Inquisition? Who is the weakest link?
But no community has been hurt as badly as the people of Flanders. Sandy El Grande reports on the land without Christmas.
When the people of Flanders received word of the intended calendar date change, they were uncertain what to do. So the Flanderians delayed implementing that change. But now many wish the Flanderiticians had acted sooner, as word has come down that the change will go through December 21st, making the following day New Year's Day and eliminating Christmas for the Flanderitarians this year.
It was tough. Maybe the toughest thing I ever had to do. When I had to tell my kids that Pope Gregory had cancelled Christmas. I could barely look him in the eye.
I run a toy shop. 60% of my sales from the whole year come from Christmas. I mean, I just bought 500 of these toys from Tycho. Tycho Brahe, that is, the astronomer. Look at this. Hey, everyone, I'm an astronomer.
So I said to myself, this year I'm going to do St. Nicholas Day right. I'm going to be the perfect Father Christmas, you know. So, boy, I grew the beard and I went on a special diet, so I put on 50 pounds. Now what are people going to think of me?
Shut up already, Porky! Yeah, have another trencher, you fat pig!
You little brats, don't you forget I know who's been naughty or nice. Little stinkers.
But I recently heard that it's not just a question of losing those 10 days. We've also got to make adjustments to the dates we've come to know in future years, like our birthdays. So while my birthday to this point in my life has always been November the 30th, now it's December the 10th. Well, I'm not sure how much I like that. I've always seen myself as a November the 30th kind of guy, and it's more than just that. My mother named me Andrew after the day I was born, St. Andrew's Day. Does that mean I have to change my name too? And what about everyone else's birthdays? I forgot my wife's birthday once. Didn't stop hearing about it until her next one.
And look at the size of that sausage. 4 butchers carrying a humongous piece of meat through the city. That's probably the biggest wiener I've ever seen in Venice.
I'll wager it is, Vanessa.
Of course, the world wiener record was set recently in Königsberg, where butchers paraded a 440-pound sausage through the streets.
Yes, wow, and you know, you don't see that every day.
Oh, thank God.
You know, still this tube steak is pretty impressive.
But nowhere more so than with the Flanderian children.
We tried to tell Dad it's okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll get that dolly for Easter inside an Easter egg, maybe. But then we heard they're making some changes to the lunar calendar, so we don't even know if there'll be Easter either. But I'm sure there's next Christmas.
There will be Christmas next year, won't there?
I hope so.
Luckily, we still got New Year's, right? Even though people got to get their party started December 21st.
Hey, mister! New Year's is coming up sooner than you think, you know. How about some nice pig's bladder balloons to get the festivities started? Sanitize for your protection.
Why couldn't he just have taken a few days off of Lent? Wouldn't that have been nicer for everybody? But no, he's wearing a hair shirt, so we all gotta suffer.
Hey, lady! We got Hoodman Blind! Renaissance edition, just in. Comes with everything you need. Double-stitch hood for the hoodman, and instructions on how to spin him around, and enough sticks for 6 people to whack the hoodman with. Come on, it'll be great fun for New Year's.
Oh, and listen to the crowd now as the star of the show, Carnival himself, makes an appearance.
And as always, Carnival, you can see he's covered in meat and accompanied by a cauldron of macaroni. I tell you, I get hungry just looking at that guy.
I'm with you on that one, Vince. This guy's done like dinner.
You know, he seems to shout, Vanessa, eat me, bite me. But,
Don't get your shish kebab skewers out just yet, because
No.
here is Old Man Carnival's counterpart, Lent.
Oh, old woman Lent, skinny as ever, makes her way through the procession. And as tradition demands, she is, of course, dressed in black, with plenty of fish hanging off her rail thin body.
You know, I often wonder how these women get that fishy smell off once the show's over.
I believe they use meat.
Stay tuned as the Protestants tell the Pope what to do with his new calendar. Our modern world lives by the Gregorian calendar, and Pope Gregory has been given most of the credit for introducing it. But the man who actually figured out the math behind it was a little-known physician named Aloysius Lilius. The Church looked at various systems for measuring the length of the solar year and eventually picked his as the winning entry. But there were plenty of others who tried to get their ideas accepted as the official plan, including a calendar challenger named Scaliger.
Is James Heerbrand, Protestant professor and theologist in the German city of Tübingen. Did you hear the case of the nut tree in Gorizia, Italy, that responded to the papal edict by blossoming 10 days early?
Yeah, sure, Tom. The Catholic countries will be reporting plenty of nut cases in the next few weeks. But I think the calendar is a matter for civil authorities, not popes. If we should be using anyone's new calendar, it should be Joseph Scaliger's.
Scaliger is, of course, the Calvinist astronomer who devised what he calls the Julian day calendar.
Well, that's right. It's brilliant. Now, this is where the future of time measurement lies. I mean, 1 day at a time with no fractional years, no mean year, no complicated system of leap years. It's easy.
In fact, his calendar doesn't use years at all, but rather a cycle of days that runs for 80 centuries.
Well, yes. Think of how long weekends will be, huh?
The fools and the wild men. In a moment, they'll be descending on the crowd, striking bystanders with pig's bladders and sticks.
Oh, what fun!
Yeah.
Oh, it's almost as if someone just yelled food fight, because the people have begun pelting each other with apples, oranges, stones, and eggs to join in the celebrating. Oh, and look, some young boys are throwing around a dog they've wrapped up in a blanket.
You know, Vanessa, that's good, clean fun. But folks, if you try this at home, please don't leave the dog carcass out in the street. Keep Venice beautiful. Throw the dog carcass in the canal.
Well, and let me say, papal bull is an understatement. Gregory was turning his back on everything the church is supposed to stand for. Didn't Gregory ban Copernicus de Revolutionibus because it suggested the earth revolved around the sun? I mean, we all know the earth is the center of the universe. Look, it's right here in the Bible, for heaven's sake. So why is he now trying to convince us the length of the year should be measured by this science?
So you don't agree by these calculations of Lilius, Clavius, and others?
I certainly wouldn't disagree with the suggestions that the length of the year used should be a mean value of the sidereal year and the tropical year, taking into account the precession of the equinoxes.
Why?
Because I don't know what the hell it means. In fact, I don't understand a single word I just said. Did you? Huh?
Oh, now, Vince, the crowd are dropping their food and grabbing mugs and stones, which can only mean it's time for the annual Running of the Jews!
Oh,
it's the only time all year you see so many Jews being victimized and humiliated at once. All Jews are required to run, so you're guaranteed some serious injuries.
Oh, the slowest ones always get pelted the worst.
Yeah.
And here they come. Oh, way to go, Jews!
Go, Jews!
Tells us in his report, time flies when you remove it from the calendar.
Time usually flies when you're having fun. Well, here in Lisbon, Portugal, time has flown all right. 10 days and a single tick of the clock. João is a charcoal trader. He has orders to fill, deliveries to make, bills to pay. For him, the new calendar has brought confusion.
Somebody orders 10 pounds of charcoal for delivery on the 17th. What, do I deliver them tomorrow? Or in 10 days, right? And what if they put in an order for the 13th? I mean, the 13th doesn't exist anymore. I mean, do I still deliver it? Huh? And if I do, what happens? Does the charcoal still exist, right? Does the guy still exist? Do I exist?
Antonio is from the non-Gregorian town of Nuremberg, and he's involved in a relationship with a girl from nearby Gregorian Regensburg.
I think Anna's expecting me.
10 days ago, you schmuck!
It's like, I can't keep up with her anymore. And we never have time for each other. I don't know, I guess, men are from a Julian place and women are from a Gregorian place.
And you better marry her, because she's 10 days late!
Don't look at me!
Over the years, Pope Gregory's calendar for measuring the years gained worldwide acceptance. Austria and Switzerland converted by 1584. Britain and her colonies didn't come aboard for another 170 years. Sweden made the change in 1700, but dropped only 1 day. This left them with a different calendar from everyone else, 10 days off from the Gregorian and 1 day off the Julian. Japan adopted the calendar in 1873, while Russia waited until 1918, by which time they had to drop 13 days. And Greece, which had been offended by Pope Gregory, didn't switch until 1924, and even then they kept their old system for calculating Easter. But eventually, everyone was using this calendar to measure human history, and everyone could agree that history bites.
And how do your gold coins look now, Marion?
The same as ever, Chuck.
That's right, they look the same. But what's this left in the bag? Coin sweat. And this is real gold, folks.
Incredible! But now I know some of the folks at home are wondering, is this against the law?
Well, Marion, the clipping of coins with scissors is quite definitely against the law.
Yeah.
But this process used by the coin sweater is natural wear. The same thing that's happening all the time in purses all over the world.
That's incredible, Chuck!